Hi guys, it's Steph here from the Novelty Corner. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have my September book haul. As usual, there are a decent number of books here. Some of them are review copies, some of them are books that I've purchased, and the majority of them I have read, and I purchased them after I had already read them and I wanted to put them on my shelves. As with all of my book haul videos, I separate them into review copies, into books that I've purchased, and then within that category I also sort of break them down by genre, particularly if I have some different things in there. So this month I received a few review copies. I have some picture books, I have a middle grade and a young adult title. So from Scholastic I received two picture books. The first one is Who's a Goose by Scott Stewart. This is a really good wordplay book. This is all about collective nouns and it is very bright and colourful and cheerful and a lot of fun to read. I also received You Are Enough, a book about inclusion. This one is written by Margaret O'Hare and illustrated by Sofia Cardozo. And this is inspired by the story of Sophia Sanchez, who is a young girl with Down syndrome. And it's really her thoughts on being yourself and being different and celebrating the differences in other people and knowing that that's okay and being able to live your best life as a result. It's a gorgeous little book. I really enjoyed reading it and I can't wait to share it with my students. There is a third picture book which I'm not going to share yet because it's currently under embargo until November, so I will share it with you then, but it is an Indigenous title by Adam Goodes and I'm so excited. I'm literally dying to share it with you guys. From Allen and Unwin I received two unsolicited titles. The first is a middle grade book called Egg Marks the Spot by Amy Timberlake and illustrated by John Klassen. This is the story of Skunk and Badger who live together, and Badger is a geologist and he's collecting rocks and he's collecting an A to Z collection of rocks, except that his agate rock has gone missing and has been taken by his cousin who is a weasel, and the two set off to try and complete his collection, only to run into a problem where they stumble across a fossilized dinosaur egg that Weasel then again tries to steal. This is very cute and whimsical and it kind of gives me the Wind in the Willows kind of vibe. I think it's the illustrations that really lend itself to that. This is one definitely for kids who really enjoy that whimsical talking animal adventure type story. I also received a copy of Dark Rise by C.S. Pacat. This is a new young adult fantasy series featuring queer characters. I have read it, I have talked about it in a wrap-up, and it is definitely an interesting fantasy series. So it's my first foray back into YA fantasy in a while. Another book that I received from Allen and Unwin, which they didn't send to me as a review copy. I even got a really lovely letter attached to it saying it's not a review copy, it's actually a gift for participating in a book tour last year. And it is a copy of Chris Hammer's new book, Treasure and Dirt. This only just came in the mail this week. I got a really lovely letter from the publisher on behalf of the publisher and the author, as well as a signed bookplate to go in it, and it was literally a thank you for helping to promote his previous book that came out. I can't believe that was a year ago. It feels like it was only yesterday. I'm under no obligation to review this, but I wanted to share it and I am planning on picking it up because I would like to read more of Chris Hammer's work. So this one is a standalone, so it's separate to the other series, and I think it's set in a mining town. So it'll be like a standalone, what is it? Standalone thriller. So stay tuned, I will talk more about this once I have a chance to read it. I received one book in a subscription box, and this was the World of Escape reading box, and I received a copy of Rachel John's How to Mend a Broken Heart. So I haven't read this yet. I think this is possibly a cross between women's fiction / romance. All I know is that it's set in New Orleans and I'm very, very intrigued. I've since read good things about Rachel Johns, so I will let you know as soon as I've picked it up. All right, moving into things that I have purchased. I have The Lost Spells by Robert Macfarlane and Jackie Morris. This is a poetry anthology and it's all about nature poetry, and it is the most gorgeous book. It is full of watercolor illustrations and they are stunning. So the illustrations and the poems tell the story, and there's all different forms of poetry in here. It is absolutely beautiful. I think I first heard about this on Leanne from Literary Diversions channel. She was talking about a couple of the books by this author, and I received a gift card from my students at the end of last term, and this is one of the things that I put it towards because it is such a stunning little book. The rest of my books are romance titles. So I have one historical romance book. I have not read this one. So far the only books I haven't read are the Chris Hammer book and the Rachel Johns book, but I also have Bombshell by Sarah MacLean. I just haven't picked it up yet. I haven't been in the mood for historical, but I'm looking forward to picking it up very soon. I've heard good things. I also bought a physical copy of Iron and Magic by Lona Andrews to round out my Kate Daniels collection. I also purchased a physical copy of Loving the Mountain Man by Adriana Anders. I really loved this novel. It was one of the ones that I read for my Christmas in July collection. This is a Mountain Man Christmas story and I just fell in love with it. I bought 3 more books in Jessica Gadziala's The Professionals series. So there is The Fixer, which is the first book in the series. There is The Babysitter, in the same collection. I forget which number this is, but this one features the Mountain Man trope as well. Are you sensing a trend here? And also The Negotiator, which is the original female member of the Fixers crew, or the Professionals crew, from the start of the series. By the time we get to this book, there are additional female characters, but this is her story, and I really, really enjoyed it. I also fell in love with the Ravenswood series by Talia Hibbert, and I wanted to own the books, so there are 3 of them. So there is A Girl Like Her, which is a Grumpy Sunshine story. There is Untouchable, which is a romance between a single dad and the woman who he hires as his live-in carer for his kids. And then there is That Kind of Guy, which features an older woman, age gap-ish type romance with a demisexual hero, and this was my favorite of the series. And then the last 2 books that I have are both books that I've read by Alexis Hall. So I purchased myself a physical copy of For Real, which I just utterly adored when I read at the start of the year. It is an MM romance, and it is another age gap story, and this one features a dominant younger character. And Lawrence, who is the older guy in this pairing, he is a submissive, but he's also teaching Toby about being a dominant as well, which is really fascinating. It is such a good read. And also Rosaline Palmer Takes the Cake, which is Alexis Hall's most recent release, and this one features a bisexual heroine who goes on a baking show, and she starts out having a relationship with one of the contestants until she discovers a few things about him, and it was just fantastic. So I have reviewed this already. Go watch that video. I'll leave it linked on the screen so that you can check the content warnings in this book. So those are the books that I acquired in September. As I said, a lot of them I've either read recently or previously and have just bought them to add to my bookshelf. So I'm utterly delighted. In the comments below, I would love for you to let me know if you have read any of these books, if you're planning on picking them up, or alternatively, feel free to share some things that you have acquired in the last month. I would love to hear what has recently been added to your physical or digital shelves. And if you want to let me know that you're here but you don't want to leave a comment, feel free to leave any kind of cake emoji in the comments. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you're staying safe and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye everyone.